It is finally here. Ladies and gentlemen, it is finally here. Those who have been keeping up with me, you know I've been anticipating this Master Key System journey. The Master Key System by Charles F. Harnell. Anyone who is new to my channel, basically, this is a channel. You can look on my about, because I have my the description of what the channel is about there, but I am Angela, and this channel is it's a digital journal that I do daily, of my journey to becoming a successful musician, the most successful musician, the greatest musician to have ever lived. And you know, I feel like over the years I've picked up on. I'm a believer in the spiritual. I mean, I was raised in a Christian environment anyway, so I've always been a believer in the spiritual. You know, and my main concern is just making sure that all my prayers get answered, quote unquote, because I've had prayers answered before. You know, I've witnessed prayers being answered, but I want to get every. I don't want it to be a thing where I see some prayers answered, some not, blah blah. Nah, every prayer must be answered. You know what I'm trying to say? Because I believe God does answer every prayer. But like I showed you before, the Master Key System. This is the introduction video. This book is about, like I said, like I was saying before, I haven't written any notes. I'm just freestyling this, but this book is those who know about it know that it's a spiritual type book, for lack of better words. You know, if you're somebody who doesn't believe in the spiritual, you know, this book might sound like a lot of baloney to you, even though it's not any of that woo-woo nonsense. It's not so. It isn't very. When I say spiritual, that doesn't mean that it's about dressing a certain way or, you know, eating certain foods or anything of that nature. No, it's just the belief that there are three existence of planes that we exist on, and that reality, and that three different planes of existence that make three different planes that make up reality. That's what I'm trying to say. My bad. Which is the spiritual, the physical, and the mental. The Master Key System. This book is a book it's an old book. It's a very old book, but this book is a 6-week course. No, 6-month course. So 24 weeks. And I am going through every week, and I'm going to be documenting my experience with this book, any encounters I've had with this book. We're given tasks to not complete, but we're given the task to apply exercises weekly for a specific exercise every week, I believe. So I'm going to be documenting it week by week. This is the only episode, hopefully, that will be on a Monday. I'm going to upload the rest on a Sunday due to certain delays. But yes, we're finally here. This is just the introduction. Part 1 is dropping later today. I'm going to talk about part 1, but this is just the introduction. I'm going to go through some of the things I read in this book and the introduction of this book pretty much. I'm not going to read the introduction, but I'm going to talk about what was covered in the introduction. The introduction pretty much, I believe, is trying to set the foundation of this book. You know, just get you, how do I say? I don't know. I just feel like it's helping you. It just talks mainly about it covers how the mind is, how everything in reality, every material thing that you see, everything you're experiencing is all an effect. It's all an effect. Everything on this physical plane is an effect. Your experience, therefore, and what you see, how your life is, how people treat you, whatever, all that is an effect. And what does every effect, what precedes every effect? A cause. Now, this book talks about how the mind is the cause, the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind, I'm sure a lot of people have heard about this have heard this rhetoric before, at least. And yeah, that's pretty much what it's mainly talked about, but I feel like it just makes it very interesting. I've highlighted, as you see, I've highlighted, wait, let me show you. I've been highlighting. I've been highlighting some things in this book, some key points, I believe, some things that hit, some parts that hit for me. I've been highlighting, and these are some of the stuff I'm going to talk about. Charles F. Harnell. Let me talk about Charles F. Harnell. I think he came before. I don't know if he came before Napoleon. I know he came Napoleon Hill. I don't know, but anyway, I don't think it doesn't matter anyway. This channel's about me, man. This channel's about me. Why am I talking about Charles, man? This channel is about me. So let me where do I want to start? Yes, this goes back to what I was saying. Cool. The book talks about how there's laws in place, that in the universe that are pretty much fixed laws, and they are designed to work for our benefit. But due to our mind, it can also be, due to our lack of understanding of the laws can also be used as can also help put us at a disadvantage, if you know what I'm trying to say. That the universe, or God, or whatever, is God. No, not God or whatever. Why did I say that? I shouldn't have said that. Lord forgive me. God is no respecter of persons. In the same way, there are laws of electricity. If you don't understand how to use the laws of electricity to your advantage, you can abuse it, you can misuse it, and then you can harm yourself. You can get electrocuted. You know what I'm trying to say? It's the same with the laws of the universe, right? It says the laws under which we live are designed solely for our advantage. These laws are immutable, and we cannot escape from their operation. All the great eternal forces act in solemn silence, but it is in our power to place ourselves in harmony with them, and thus express a life of comparative peace and happiness. Difficulties, inharmonies, obstacles indicate that we are either refusing to give out what we no longer need, or refusing to accept what we require. Growth is attained through an exchange of the old for the new, of the good for the better. It is a conditional or reciprocal action, for each of us is a complete thought entity, and that the completeness makes it possible for us to receive only as we give. We cannot obtain what we lack if we tenaciously cling to what we have. I think I overread a bit I think I went over what I was meant to read, to be honest. But the main is in the beginning. Ignore the latter bit, but not ignore it. But the main thing I'm talking about is what was expressed in the beginning. That all these laws that God, obviously, all these laws are for our advantage. God only wants us to be prosperous. God only wants us to be abundant, to live in abundance. God doesn't want us to live in struggle or to face all these difficulties. God doesn't want that for us. God wants us to be like Him, and He is. There's nothing more prosperous than God, and there's nothing more abundant than God. He's literally abundance itself. He's literally the source of abundance, the source of prosperity, and that's what He wants for us as His creations. Now, he also mentioned how, in that thing I read, he also mentioned how, let me, oh my days, forgive me. This is my first time doing a book, doing like a book, not reviewing a book, but talking about a book, or I'm kind of new to the C-ship thing. But I will get better. I will get better. I will get better. I will get better. That these laws are to help us grow, and that if we are stagnant or if we're still facing any difficulties, it's because we are not what's the word I'm looking for? The difficulties that we are going through, there's a lesson in all of them. If we never, the longer we, what am I trying to say? Brain fog. What am I trying? I just kind of lost my train of thought. What I'm trying to say is, every difficulty we face is for a reason. It is for our own growth. Everything we face is for us to grow. We are growing forever physically, and it's the same way mentally and spiritually. Everything we're going through is to help us grow. If we're going through a certain difficulty, we're meant to extract that lesson. We're meant to get the lesson from the difficulty that we're going through. If we refuse to get the lesson from the difficulties that we're going through, then we will forever remain stagnant. You know what I'm trying to say? We will forever remain stagnant. That's what I believe it's saying. Right? What's something else I want to cover? I want to talk about that I found interesting, because I highlighted quite a few things that I wanted to kind of touch on. Yeah, this is what I was just saying. I was saying all conditions and experiences that come to us do so only for our benefit. Difficulties and obstacles will continue to come until we absorb their wisdom and gather from them the essentials of further growth. That we reap what we sow. It is mathematically exact. We gain permanent strength exactly to the extent of the effort required to overcome our difficulties. So yeah, again, difficulties, everything that happens is for our benefit, pretty much. So we are meant to, with knowledge of the laws, of course, we are meant to absorb, like it says, absorb the knowledge and the lessons from the difficulties that we are going through. It talks about how the mind, since the mind is the cause, it talks about how the mind is the cause for all. And that's the next thing I kind of want to go into detail about. Yes, here it is. Some men attract success, power, wealth, attainment with very little conscious effort. Others conquer with great difficulty. Still, others fail altogether to reach their ambitions, desires, and ideals. Why is this so? Why should some men realize their ambitions easily, others with difficulty, and still others not at all? the cause cannot be physical, else the most perfect men physically would be the most successful. The difference, therefore, must be mental, must be in the mind. Hence, mind must be the creative force, must constitute the sole difference between men. It is mind, therefore, which overcomes the environment and every obstacle in the path of men. This one really, I feel like this one really resonated with me, because one thing, especially as in my journey, when it comes to me becoming the greatest musician, right? And just very, call it what you want. If you think it's to be a musician and a successful musician like that, you have to acquire some sort of fame. You know what I'm trying to say? And me personally, I'm not afraid to say, I don't care what anyone thinks about it, I desire to surpass Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson is my guy. That's someone I look up to. But I refuse. I can't. I'm not somebody who. I'm the type of person who, whatever I want to do, I want to be the best in it. So when I look at music as something I want to do, the best, who's known as the best? Michael Jackson. I love Michael, but I have to be the best. That's my goal. And sometimes when you come from an area where you don't know a lot of people who have quote unquote made it in that way, especially in the entertainment industry, sometimes I get to a point where I'm like, bro, like are people who get to that level of success just lucky, or? But I'm not a believer in luck. I don't, because that doesn't that doesn't do anything but to believe in luck. It just says it's basically saying it's out of your control. If one is lucky, you're basically saying it's out of everybody's control. It just, the stars just happen to align for that person. You know what I'm trying to say? I'm not a believer in that. I've never subscribed to that thought. I've never liked, you know what I'm trying to say? I've never liked luck, like what people call luck, or someone's lucky, you know. And one thing I've always faced or experienced is whenever I want to talk about my ambitions with people, which is one of the reasons I created this channel, just to be completely like honest and vulnerable for myself. It's kind of like a safe space a little bit. People are quick to shut down your ambitions because why? It's unrealistic. And then I always think, for it to be unrealistic, it means that no one, for something to be unrealistic, no one should have achieved it. You know what I'm trying to say? So if someone wants to be the next Michael Jordan, next LeBron James, and you're telling them it's unrealistic, for it to be unrealistic, there can be no Michael Jordan, there can be no LeBron James. It just doesn't make sense. Because if anything, that shows it's realistic because it's been done by somebody before. You know what I'm trying to say? So whenever people will say, whenever I would talk about what I want to be, what I want to do, blah blah, be realistic. I've always hated that, because especially when they say, I had a boy who told me in uni, people from my area don't get, or he said people from my area or our ends or your ends don't achieve that level of don't get to that level of success or in music. The thing is, I didn't tell him I wanted to do music, but we were talking about, I think we were talking about an artist in my area, and we were talking about how he hasn't uploaded that and then uploaded in a while, or posted music in a while, or dropped it in a while, I should say. He dropped music in a while, and I was just saying, damn, he could have gone far, blah blah. And my boy basically kind of scoffed, like, someone from your area is not getting, you know what I'm trying to say. And even though I didn't tell him that that's why I want to do music, that crushed, because that crushed me a little bit, because for him to think that anyone who does music in my area doesn't succeed, or in our area doesn't prevail in that far, basically means if I tell him I want to do music, he probably would also hold the same belief, that because I'm from this certain area, There's no way. And I've always thought that's the silliest train of thought, just off the simple fact that The Weeknd was homeless at one point. And I'm just, The Weeknd was, there are some people who were in worse conditions. There are some people who are in worse conditions and they still happen to make it, and there's no explanation for that. So back to what this book was saying, it makes sense to me that the only difference is the mind. I don't believe God has favorites when He creates man. When I say man, if there's any girls or women, I should say, watching, I'm just saying, when I say man, I'm thinking of in terms of species, man species, like humans. You know what I'm trying to say? God didn't create man as a species for us. I don't think He had favorites when He's creating man. I do not believe that. I don't think He does. We all have nobody is special. Nobody is special compared to. We are all God's highest form of creation. Therefore, we are all able to achieve higher levels of success, or whatever, and success can be defined in whatever you want. Whatever you define success as is what success is for you. In my case, it's music. So I don't think. So to me, it only makes sense that mind is the only difference to what separates an individual from another. You know what I'm trying to say? That because not even just that. When people say, oh, the area we're in, we're not in this environment, or money, we don't have much money, even if it's not in terms of music or getting famous or Hollywood or whatever, even if it's just getting to a level of even if it's just becoming a millionaire. Say if someone's become a millionaire, right? And people just say, "Oh no, actually no." Let me use the example of, like, let me continue with the example of Hollywood, or not Hollywood, but the entertainment industry. Cool. If someone was to say, "Oh, you're from this area," someone from this area doesn't make it in, let's say, music. Cool. By that logic, everyone who has connections to the industry, who lives in LA, for example, which is the home of the entertainment industry, that means everyone who lives in LA should make it. If for you to say my area, or hold the belief that our area doesn't is the reason why people don't make it in entertainment, that means that everyone who lives in LA must make it. You know what I'm trying to say? And that's just not the case. That's not the case. There are several people in LA or in the entertainment industry who probably even nepotism is that what they call it? Nepotism babies, or even those who benefit from nepotism. Not every one of them ends up being successful, and they have all the connections in the world. You know what I'm trying to say? You can't. So it makes sense that the only difference is mind. Your mind. That's the only difference that makes. That's the only thing that makes a difference in terms of someone achieving great levels of success and someone achieving less levels of lower level, or someone achieving little success. So that's why I got from that, and that really resonated with me. You know, what's another thing in the introduction? I don't want to make this introduction too. Wow, it's 24 minutes already. I don't want to talk about bears, bro. I want to talk about lots. Boy, oh boy. What's something else I wanted to briefly touch on? It talks about how anyone who yeah, and adding on to that, it says, if then the only difference between men, when it says men, this is not a book for men or directed to men, like targeted to men. It's just saying men as in species. if then the only difference between men lies in their ability to think, to use and control their thoughts, to develop it, if if the success of all secret, all power, all attainment is the creative power of mind, the force of thought, surely the ability to think correctly should become the paramount of every man. So everyone's main objective should be everyone's main objective should be aligning with the correct thinking, with right thinking, and right thinking can be anything with what you want to do, anything that aligns with what you want to do, because everything has to work in harmony. Even it can be anything. You know, and not even just that. This channel, another reason I made this channel, I want people to see proof, bro. Because best believe, yeah, I am trying. I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it, bro. I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it. I can't even entertain the thought that I won't make it. I can't even entertain the thought that I can't make it. Sometimes I doubt myself. Like, sometimes I just, but you know, it's gonna come to an end. It talks about that once man realizes. It says what those coming into the conscious realization of the power of thoughts find themselves in possession of the best life, the best that life can give. Substantial things of a higher order become theirs, and these sublime realities are so constituted that they can be made tangible parts of daily life, daily personal life. They realize a world of higher power, and to keep that power constantly working, the power is inexhaustible, limitless, and they are therefore carried forward from victory to victory. Obstacles that seem insurmountable are overcome. Enemies are changed to friends. Conditions are overcome. Elements transformed. Fate is conquered. The supply of good is inexhaustible. God is abundant in everything. So basically, the main objective of this book is to help you, the reader, to train, to utilize your thoughts to create, the whole thing of manifestation. Pretty much, I'm sure I'm sure you guys have heard the manifestation thing before, but I think this is without all the extra stuff that people kind of throw on it today, in today's day and age a little bit. I feel like this one is a bit more straightforward. It seems a bit more straightforward. It's not about like them, like, if you do this, I'm not knocking you, but it's not about going outside and sun gazing. It's not about that. It's not about walking outside barefoot. This is not what it's about. This is just about applying the laws of the universe, pretty much. The laws that God put in place. And that's because your mind is what creates your reality, pretty much. It's helping us to intentionally use that power that we have and direct it to what we want, pretty much. That's the whole purpose of this book. It's a 6-month course. Every week it's training you. Now I'm going into this book blindly. I haven't read anything about this book. I haven't watched anything about this book. I don't know the tasks I'm going to be presented with, right? But I've just done week one. Week one, it was a good task. Now you're gonna hear me talk about that in part one. What was I saying? Yeah, but the goal is to help us use our mind to our advantage, to bring us our desired reality from the spiritual plane into the physical plane. Pretty much. The physical, take it from the spiritual and mental plane into the physical plane. And it talks about how, I think it talks about intuition. Oh no! Before I get into that, it also says, it also talks about how we should never seek to deprive. Let me start with that. To be successful, attention. To be successful, attention must invariably be directed to the creative plane. It must never seek. The creative plane, I believe, is the spiritual and mental plane. It must never seek to deprive. You do not wish to take anything away from anyone else. You want to create something for yourself, and what you want for yourself, you are perfectly willing that everyone else should have. You should know that it's not necessary to take from one to give to another, but that the supply for all is abundant. Nature's storehouse of wealth is inexhaustible, and if there seems to be a lack of supply anywhere, it is only because the channels of distribution are as yet imperfect. Abundance is the natural law of the universe. Yeah. So it's all, because sometimes that one resonate. I highlighted that resonated with me because sometimes you might see somebody getting a big break. Sometimes you see someone even younger than you reaching a level of success. Like sometimes you see someone who's your age or younger than you living better. They'll have this new car, nice apartment, blah blah, and sometimes there comes a slight feeling of jealousy or envy. Sometimes, I really try to use it as motivation whenever I see things of that nature. But sometimes I can't lie. Sometimes once you may everyone has experienced some sort of jealousy before. But God is abundant in His nature. God is abundant. God is abundant. He also talks about how abundance is literally manifested in everything. It talks about how profusion is manifested in everything. The millions and millions of trees and flowers and plants and animals, and the vast scheme of reproduction where the process of creating and recreating is forever going on, all indicates the lavishness with which nature has made provision for man. That there is an abundance for everyone is evident, but that many seem to have been separated from this supply from this supply is also evident. They have not yet come to a realization of the universality of all substance, and that mind is the active principle which starts causes emotion, whereby we are related to the things we desire. So this touches on the fact that I believe that pretty much intuition. Your mind, once you start to embody, I believe, once you start to embody is that what you desire, what you want. Let's say in my case, becoming a successful musician, famous musician. Once I fully start to embody that in everything about myself, in terms of my beliefs, my thoughts, in everything I do, in my attention, I believe what it's saying is that once we embody that for a long enough time, because we start to align with that in the spiritual realm, naturally, the things we get, the little nudges we get, or I get to, when I decide to let me do this, the actions I take are going to be based off of the intuition I'm getting, because I've aligned myself with being a famous musician. So all I'm doing is the intuition helps me get there. So the actions I'm taking are a result of the mind, the new mental identity that I've decided to embody. This is my first time talking about a book, so hey, sometimes I do feel like I'm a bit all over the place. But That is the introduction. We also had a psychological chart to complete, you know, which consists of mental products, health, time efficiency, creative power, and concentration. And by that, we are asked to copy the table out, and give ourselves a percentage of what we believe we are, how we believe we are putting it to use. Putting, like, for example, mental product. If I believe what I'm worth, if I believe I'm worth, not I'm worth, but if I believe my desire is worth a certain amount, for example, let's say you want to sell something. If you believe that it's worth 5,000, pretty much, let me start again. The mental product is pretty much your ability to manifest what it is that you want, pretty much, just to summarize it, just to make it easy. So if I have something I desire, my mental product is, if I have something I desire as my mental product, if I'm not seeing, if I'm seeing it manifest in my real life, I'll probably put 100% for that. You know what I'm trying to say? For the mental product, if I'm applying it properly, and and I think it's the same logic for the creative power and the health. Yeah, so I'm not really gonna go into my personal deed. I think that's a bit personal to why I think about it, but I can't recommend this book now because I haven't finished it. But this book, this book is in 6 months' time. Let me not say 6 months' time, but those of you that are watching and keep up with this series I'm doing, we'll see if this book works or not. You know what I'm trying to say? Not if it works, but hopefully we'll see evidence that this book was helpful. Because I felt like with this book, like it's talked about several times, a lot of us kind of seem to have, a lot of people have departed from the laws of from working in living in harmony with the laws of the universe, pretty much. So I feel like since I've had so many people, because I feel like I really do believe I have to renew my mind. That's the main reason I bought this book, especially if I want to achieve something so great, when it seems that it's almost impossible. It seems like it's almost impossible for me to even achieve, but I think if I follow and apply everything as it asks me to, it should help me. That's the main reason I bought this book. That's the main reason I got this book. That's why I want to go through this. I'm documenting my journey. I'm documenting this whole journey with this book. I'm making it a series, so it'll be 24 parts, excluding this introduction. But yeah, man, this video is longer than what I expected it to be. I kind of waffled a lot, I can't lie, but I will get better as I go on. I'm just getting into the habit of just doing, not really thinking too much about it. The more you overthink, the less you do. You know what I'm trying to say? So I'm just getting into the groove of this YouTube thing, but yeah, man, this is the introduction. I'm excited for this series. Yeah, I'm gonna do part one. I'm gonna talk about part one because part one was pretty interesting. And I'm excited for I'm excited for the journey of this book. I'm excited. Anyways, I'll see you guys in part one. We're gonna talk about part one. So go and watch part one. Should be up. So by the time that this is uploaded, by the time you're watching this, part one should be up. Actually, no, I'm gonna upload this one first. I'm gonna upload the introduction first before I upload part one. Yeah. So let me get Yeah. Cool. But part one will be up. And yeah. My bad. Hey, I waffled. I was chatting just during this video, but I'm doing my best. I'm not used to talking in front of a camera that much, so it's still fairly new to me. But I will get better over time. I will become more. I've already found myself become more articulate from speaking to a camera every day. So it will become better. Now I'm just talking about books. I didn't write no lines. I didn't talk about everything I'm gonna cut. I didn't bullet point what I'm gonna address from the book. I just kind of came on here and freestyled. But this is just the introduction to the series. It's a bit longer than what I intended it to be, but I hope you guys enjoyed if you stuck around for the whole thing. But yeah, thank you guys. I'm gonna see you in the next part. Stay tuned.